Well, happy Wednesday, everybody, and I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad to be with you again, talking to you about everything from spirit and learning about mediumship, learning about what's beyond us, what's with us, who's with us, and how we can all do this. Because remember, this is something that we all can do. So, for those of you who have seen me before, welcome. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, definitely welcome. You may already know me. My name is Chris Lippincott. I'm an international spiritual medium and best-selling author. And one of the things that I do is teach people how to get in contact with spirit, how to become spiritual themselves, how to allow their own spirit to rise and connect with spirit, but also how can they begin to learn to communicate themselves? How can people from everywhere, from any walk of life, learn to begin to have that interaction with spirit because it's literally beside us. And that's why when I wrote my book, Spirits Beside Us, I titled it that because spirit's always with us. Spirit's literally sharing the same space with us. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I love letting everybody know that we can connect and that we are connecting all the time. Many times we don't even realize that we're connecting. Sometimes we'll just think about, hey, gosh, is that just my mind or is that something more? But, we go into that quite a lot. And today, what we are going to cover is something that you may have seen already. We're going to be talking all about more mediumship unfoldment. We're going to be talking about more about today acceptance as a major quality in helping your mediumship unfoldment. So I just want to give a hello, a shout out to everybody who's out there. I see Pauline's out there chatting in the text box. Hi, Pauline. If you're out there and you want to say hello, just give me a shout out. Let me know where you're from. I love connecting with you as live as we possibly can because this is great. So Pauline's saying that she returned after last week from Scotland. It's a bit cold there, so I won't be so chatty. She'll just listen. Okay, well, you can chat as much as you want because I love talking to everybody. Hi, Jane from Florida. It's probably not too cold there, so I'm imagining it's nice and warm. We're starting to get a little bit cooler up here in New Jersey, so it's starting to get a little bit of a little bit of a chill is in there. Hi, KJ from North Carolina. KJ, tell me whereabouts in North Carolina, because my wife and I were just down in Asheville in July. We absolutely loved it. Great place, great, just great. It's got great food, great vibes, everything. So that's just fabulous. So we're really thinking about going down to Asheville a lot. Yeah, Jane's saying lots of rain. It's probably that time of year where Florida gets a lot of rain, I imagine. So at least it's better than a drought. You don't want to have a drought, right? So anyway, so as I was mentioning earlier, today we're going to be talking about acceptance and what is acceptance and why is that even important? Well, acceptance is really a very important part of our mediumship development, our unfoldment. And the reason it's so important is because as we begin to accept other people, we are accepting ourselves. And then in progression from there, we're ultimately accepting spirit into our lives. Because one of the biggest blocks that people have when they're trying to connect with spirit is that they're saying, I want these specific pieces of information, or I'm not confident that that's really spirit. How do I discern between my imagination and spirit? You have to you have to just be accepting of what's coming through. You have to really be just so open and loving to spirit that as the information starts to flow, that's when you really begin to connect and you'll feel it in your heart. And one of the things about acceptance that it's so important is as you're accepting other people, then you begin to not only see and perceive differently, but your entire stance and your entire demeanor as a person, as a human being, really begins to change. So, what do I mean by that? Primarily, when you accept other people, you're accepting yourself, because remember, we are all tied together. We're all one energy. The person that you perceive or you see or you experience out there is really just sort of an extension of yourself. And remember, when something's happening and another person who's out there is doing something that you don't really like, or you don't really agree with, or is kind of annoying you and you're kind of rubbing you the wrong way, not much you can really do about it. You can't really change them. You can't control them. The only thing that you can control, the only thing that you can change, is your reaction. So think about that. Anytime that you encounter somebody or something or some experience that you're feeling really painful about, or it's something that you are going through where somebody's saying something that you don't like, or they're doing something that really annoys you a lot, then the only thing you can do is control your own reactions. So that's one big thing. And I'll give you an example. Let's say you're out to dinner with your significant other or your best friend or whatever it is. It's a wonderful weekend evening. You're out. It's like, say, 7 o'clock, 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. You're having this wonderful restaurant at this wonderful dinner at this fine restaurant, and you're really getting comfortable and you're really enjoying the meal, right? And then you start to notice to your side, at the table right next to you, there's this person who is just irritating. They've got an irritating voice. They've got irritating personality. They've got an irritating opinion about everything. They're talking too loud. They're saying things that you don't like, and it just goes on and on and on. What do you feel like? Type in the chat. Do you experience this where you go to a restaurant for a really nice meal, and then you experience a situation where the person nearby or somebody nearby is really aggravating you, and you're like, oh, I just wish they'd leave, or I just wish they would go away, or just they're wrong. You're always putting the blame on the other person. You're always saying they're wrong, they have to go, it's their issue, go away. So raise your hand if that's something that you experience, because I know I experience that kind of stuff all the time. I mean, here in Montclair, we're dealing with that all the time. In fact, in this entire area, we're constantly experiencing that. Where or even in a big city, for example. I mean, it's very diverse, right? You're constantly going to be butting heads with people who either have different political views than you, or especially right now, I mean, look at the things going on now, either different political views than you, or different opinions about money or the way things should be done, or maybe they were brought up differently than you were, or maybe they come from a different culture than you do, and they do things differently. And you look at them and you say, oh, that person should blend in, they should be more like me, why can't they change? Well, the fundamental concept is you can't change them. There's no way on God's green earth that you can change somebody. Furthermore, it's not your right to change somebody. How would you like it if somebody came up to you and said, I don't like the way you think, I don't like the way you speak, I don't like the way you look, I don't like the way you're talking, I don't like the way yada da 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 da, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Put the shoe on the other foot. Have the roles reversed. You wouldn't like that either. You wouldn't want somebody coming up and telling you what you should do. So don't you go up to somebody and tell them what they should do. What you have to do is you have to accept them. Begin to accept them. Learn to accept them. And as you accept them, there's this amazing understanding that becomes part of you. Also, try to just begin by understanding the other person. Why are they thinking that way? Why are they arguing? Why are they yelling? Why are they doing this thing? Maybe there's a good, plausible reason. Maybe they had a really horrible day, or maybe that was just the way their parents raised them, to talk really loudly and to yell really loudly. So that's the only thing they know. Or perhaps there's a young couple who comes in with their toddler who's screaming during dinner time, and everybody's looking over at the couple saying, "Take that toddler out of here. That toddler doesn't belong in a restaurant at 8 o'clock at night. Don't you know that that toddler should be in bed by now?" I mean, this happens all the time, right? So we're always just aggravating, saying you're interfering in my space. Well, try to remember what it was like for you when you were, those parents' age. You know, maybe they don't have the money to hire a babysitter. Maybe they couldn't find a babysitter, and they had no other choice because they had the reservations. They had no other choice to bring that baby with them. They're doing their best. They're trying hard, even though they may appear to ignore everybody else, they're trying their best. You can't change them. It's not going to happen, right? So the best thing that you can do is accept them, understand them first, understand where they're coming from, understand why the situation is the way it is, and then begin to accept them and say, all right, I accept them because remember, you are nothing but you're seeing nothing but a perception of yourself. What you're seeing is really an extension of yourself. It's a part of you. Whether that's just the issue or the people or the aggravation factor, it's something that you're beginning to understand, that is something that's actually just one more part of you that's beyond. So if you begin to understand the other person, you're understanding yourself even better. As you begin to accept the other person, you're understanding and accepting yourself. And what winds up happening is, as you begin to accept the other person, you're beginning to accept yourself, and you're sending loving kindness and warmth to the other person. You're sending loving kindness and warmth to yourself, and you begin to gain peace, because no longer are you frustrated and angry and saying, you shouldn't be doing this and how dare you interfere in my life, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden it's gone from a negative perspective to a positive perspective. At best, rather at worst, you'd have a neutral perspective, but it's bringing you peace. It's bringing you calm. It's bringing you clarity. And that is something that's fundamental, to have that state of mind: peace, loving kindness, calm, that's going to enable you to really then keep that mindset as you begin to unfold your own mediumship, as you begin to unfold your own relationships just with other people around you. You're fundamentally, if nothing else, going to feel that much better. You're not going to go back from the restaurant. Let's say you do this. You're at the restaurant, and instead of getting really aggravated and really annoyed at the other couple who brought in their child, or getting really aggravated at that person who was making you so mad and was talking so poorly, and you're like, ah. Instead of feeling really bad at the end of the meal, all of a sudden you're that much lighter. You're that much brighter. You're that much, okay, because you also were controlling your own emotions. You were controlling your own thoughts, because that's the only thing you can control. If you control your own emotions, control your own thoughts, it's going to be tough. I'll admit that. But that's the only thing you can change. You can change your thoughts. You can change your feelings. You can change your reactions. So as you change your reaction to other things that are going on around you, and you focus on the positivity, and you focus on what it is that makes you happy and smile, you then leave the restaurant going, wow, that was a great meal. I really enjoyed it, because guess what? Everything else got tuned out. You just don't care anymore. You are more focused on what makes you happy. And that's really the fundamental core principle, is focus on what makes you happy. What is it that makes you happy as a human being, as a spiritual being? What is it that makes you light up, right? And I'm not talking like material things and, I want the car, I want the big house, I want this, or I want that person to go away. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, what is it that makes you a lighter, brighter, happier person, right? And when you reach that more spiritual place, that greater place filled with loving kindness and empathy, then you really begin to open up to everything that's around you, the spiritual energy that is all around you. And you really begin to open up and feel that you have the high vibrations within. And the higher your vibrations are, the better you're able to connect with the highest vibrations that are all around you. Because remember, spirit is high vibration energy. We are very low vibration energy because we're literally in the material plane. Spirits in the non-material plane. They're non-physical. So how do we connect with them? We have to raise our vibration. How do we raise our vibration? Doing what I just talked about, focusing on everything that makes you happy and smiling, and raising your abilities and your cares and your thought process, your loving kindness for others as well as yourself. If you're able to do that, then that's really where it is. That's really where it sits, because that's what it's all about. It's all about how are you able to, turn your love and kindness to everybody else. What is it that makes you that much more of a spiritual being? How do you focus on your own spiritual growth? Because the more you grow your spirit within, the more you grow your connection to the spirit without. Let me say that again. The more you grow your spirit within, the more you grow your connection with the spirit without. And that's really how you're able to connect. Because remember the famous words of Gordon Higginson: you must find the spirit within before you find the spirit without. Kind of paraphrasing that quotation. But it's the same idea. You can't find the spirit until you find the spirit within. You've got to connect with the spirit within. You got to allow the spirit within to rise, to be filled with loving kindness, and really feel the love, rather than just going around, with your knuckles dragging on the ground, griping about everything. Why'd he say this? I don't want that. I don't like this. And I mean, you can't change anything, right? So if you're going to change anything, change your own reaction, change the way that you go forward with your own life, your own spirituality, your own loving kindness. Imagine what would happen, just for a second. Just go with me on this trip here. Imagine what would happen if all of a sudden you started to just smile at everybody, right? A stranger walking on the sidewalk, and you turn to them, you have no idea who they are, you just turn to them and smile. They'd be like, wow, hi. Have you ever noticed that you smile to a stranger and they smile back? People reflect what other people do to them. We are basically mirrors to each other. If we smile to somebody, they're going to smile back. If we give like an angry face to somebody, they're going to give us an angry face back. It's basically reciprocity. So what you got to try to do is really give more loving kindness, smiles, happiness to other people. And I see Diane is here also. So hi, Diane. Welcome. Love having you. How's Hamburg, New York treating you? So love to hearing from you. Also, just keep on thinking about how is it that you're able to focus on offering your loving kindness, your spirituality, your positivity to other people. And as you begin to share your positivity with others, it rubs off on other people. And just like the butterfly effect, it's like, what the butterfly effect is, that supposedly when a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere in South America, it'll have a big effect, like on the waves, like a big tidal wave or something in Asia or Japan. The concept is that one little small thing that you do here is going to have a big impact far away. So if you smile at one person, they're going to smile back at you, and they're going to feel just a little bit better about the world. As that person feels a little bit better about the world, maybe they're going to smile back at somebody else. And maybe that little positivity is going to increase even further, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on, until at the end result, you're going to have this massive wave of positivity and loving kindness that gets sent throughout the globe, and it just keeps on circulating. It's this self-fulfilling prophecy. It just keeps on going up and up and up and up. Wouldn't you rather have that than have the opposite, where you frown at somebody or you get angry at somebody or you're saying, I don't like what you're saying to me, or and then all of a sudden you get this negative spiral where everybody's getting angry and everyone is going to kind of get pissed off and oh my God, it's just like, we're living in this kind of angry world that we currently exist in. So what would you rather have? Would you rather have the positivity spiral that's going up and really becoming contagious where everybody's becoming more and more positive? Or would you rather have the negative contagion where everybody's getting really negative and everybody else and it just keeps on getting worse? Personally, I would much rather have the positive contagion where everybody gets more positive, everybody gets more loving, everybody gets more thoughtful, everybody gets more upbeat, and to a place where it's all just understanding and accepting, and we're all in this together, because that's really what it's all about. In the end, remember, we are all one. We are all from one source. We are all one being. We are energetically all the same. We are all the same connecting. I mean, if you want to look at it from just pure materialism, we're all made from the same stuff. We all came from the same place. Whether you look at it from the Big Bang, we all came from the same place. Whether, we look at it from our bodies and our minds, we're all from the same energy. We're all the same material. We are all the same. We may be brought up differently, but fundamentally, we are all the same. We're all identical. And so from that perspective, as we are all one, that's why there's this whole thought process that we've heard all of our lives: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's just a golden rule. What would you want other people to do? Like, let's say, for example, you're that person in that restaurant making that racket, annoying other people. What would you want other people to do to you? Would you want them yelling at you, or would you want them to understand you? And would you want them to be more accepting of you? Maybe you've had a bad day. What would you want people to do? You'd want them to be accepting and understanding, right? So be accepting and understanding of other people, and you really create this beautiful upward spiral. And that ultimately, again, comes back to you. You're understanding and accepting and filling yourself with loving kindness, which is a very important aspect to unfolding your mediumship, unfolding your spiritual connection, unfolding your ability to communicate with spirit. And that's why we're trying to understand, how do we do this? What are some of the fundamental principles? What are some of the core aspects of your being that you need to know about? That's what part of it is. It's all about spirituality. It's all about your spiritual being. Allow your spiritual being to start to rise. And how do you get that done? You get that done by various aspects of loving kindness and understanding and acceptance. And it's a whole series. So that was just one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and kind of clue you in on about one of the really major qualities of mediumship unfoldment is acceptance. Try to accept other people. It's going to be tough. It's a challenge. Here's a challenge that I have for all of you. I challenge you for the next 24 to 48 hours to accept 100%, accept everybody that you encounter. Oh, that's going to be a tough one. I promise you that. I promise you, you're going to have a difficult time doing it. But that's the beauty of it. As you challenge yourself and you accept everybody else, you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to say, oh gosh, I made a mistake. I should have accepted them. That's okay. So long as you realize it. So long as you realize what you're doing. If you realize that you're not accepting somebody or understanding somebody the way you should be, that's when you begin to start making a development. That's when you start to grow. And that's what's so beautiful. So I wanted to give that all to you. We've been chatting here for about 25 minutes. Wanted to give you guys the option to ask me questions. What is it that you're interested in? What is it that you need to know about? Because I love this something, hearing from you and learning about whatever it is that you need. So from this perspective, it's very interesting. And Pauline is giving some interesting information here. I think she's asking a question. Set that bring about memories. Will's always been. It's always me. Got a text today. I asked, well, not Holder is coming. It's the one day of the year I get to speak to him alone. He treated me so badly through my last couple of years of hell when I have done everything for him, especially when his partner died. I wouldn't do it again. That's just me, and I won't change. No one, that's okay. Pauline, no one's asking you to change. But what you need to begin to realize is trying to give basic, loving kindness to other people. And for some people, it's going to be really tough. It's going to feel like you're walking through hot coals or worse, blazing fire. Like, why am I doing this? This person's doing nothing but ridiculing me, or this person's doing nothing but being mean to me. Why should I accept them? That's the challenge. That is truly the challenge. I never said this was going to be easy. So start with small things. Start with the small little things. Somebody rubs you the wrong way, maybe at dinner, or somebody looks at you the wrong way you're walking by, or somebody litters on the ground and you're like, that's not right. Just little things. Start small, because when you start small, you start to build the habit. Don't start to go after the big things. The big fish, that's going to be tough. Start small, get into a habit, and as you get into the habit, you'll be like, okay, I can do that. And then I can do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. So just like anything, when you're starting from zero, you got to learn to walk before you run. So start with the small things, and that's going to help you. You might be cognizant of the other things. It's like saying, okay, well, somebody punched me in the face. How can I possibly accept them? I didn't say that was going to be easy, but you got to start with the little things. Have the thought process in your mind. When you begin to have the thought process in your mind, you start to think about it. You start to become aware of it. The very awareness of itself, that is simply the issue. So, think about that. Start small. Start with something that you feel that you can work with, not the big stuff. Start small. All right. So I hope that kind of helps you. Hi, Irene from Minnesota. I imagine it's pretty cold in Minnesota. And Diane's saying, everything's good in Hamburg. Great. So if you guys have any more questions about this, I love trying to help you understand some of the basic fundamental things. It is sort of a fundamental principle. Try to remember it's all about your own spiritual qualities. How can you raise your own spiritual qualities? And again, you start by focusing on the small stuff. If you focus on the small stuff, then you can start to move to bigger and bigger things, because it's like building a house. You wouldn't build a house that's really massive without any foundation, would you? You got to build a foundation. You got to start from somewhere. And how do you build a foundation? You start with the basement. You start with really at the beginning. And then you just keep on layering up, layering up, layering up. And as you do that, then you're going to start to get them bigger and bigger, and you get a strong foundation. Everything builds from there. Start small, build out to something big. So I hope that that answers all of your questions. Hope that clearly describes everything that we were talking about today. And if you like this, I certainly hope that you'll be able to subscribe to the channel, because I love getting this information out to you. I love having you see that new material is coming out, because sometimes it'll come out on Wednesday, sometimes there might be a one-off. So if you like the information, the subscribe button will just basically alert you to the new material. So please, I invite you to subscribe. Down below, there's a little button that says subscribe, and as you do that, that's going to help you, follow me, and I can get more information out to you. So, love you guys. Sending you all love and light, and I wish you the best. And I will see you next week. Until then, this is Chris sending you love and light, and I will see you then. Bye bye for now.